This is the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist and an empowerment coach for women. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now here is today's episode. Episode 124. Well, if this is your first time tuning into the Soul-Filled Sisterhood, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in and welcome. And if you have been listening to this podcast for a while and you have yet to go out to iTunes and leave a rating or review, really encourage you to do that. It's really simple, whether you do that on your phone or you go out there to iTunes itself, you can just easily scroll over, tap the number of stars of that you can rate this, or go in and actually add a review. And if you're choosing not to do that, then the one thing I ask you to do is share this with one woman in your life so that we can keep passing this podcast on to all those of you who are introverted or highly sensitive. You've got a heart-centered business, or you are just really somebody who wants to make a change in this world. I really encourage you to go out there and share this with other women in your life who have a very maybe similar vision or value in their life. All right, on to today's episode. Well, I cannot tell you how many times I have heard this money phrase, money belief used over the last couple years, and it actually came up again in the mastermind that I am in. And we were chatting about what some of our money beliefs are, and everybody has them. Believe me, everybody has money beliefs that can hold them back in their business. But this one really seems to hold back women or men who are in the healing profession, like whether you're a psychotherapist, whether you're a coach, whether you're a light worker, whether you are a service-oriented provider, but you're also heart-centered. The phrase that I'm talking about is, but I'm not in it for the money. I cannot tell you how many women I have worked with over the years who have stated this to me, and colleagues I have heard say this, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, you can actually reframe this and say, I love what I do and I love making money. The thing that gets me about this money phrase, this money belief, is when I say, oh, I'm not in it for the money, I'm not in it for the money. Often what happens is women that I work with, they are undercharging what they're doing. They have years and years of skills. They've been getting CEUs, they have been going back and getting additional training for their corporate jobs that they're working in, and they're not asking for raises or they're not asking for promotions. And when we do that, we actually are doing not only a disservice to ourselves, but those customers that we work with, the clients that we work with, the people that we work with, because if we don't value who we are or the skills that we have, it makes it hard for others to do that. And the money, the fees, so if I talk just about being an entrepreneur, the fees that you are charging or the investment that the person coming into your business is being charged for that, it's not about your self-worth. It is about your skills, all the things that you're bringing to the table to help them get the results that they're looking for. I did a series way back when in episode 34, 35, and 36. And in episode 34, talked about, really looking at and exploring what is your money mindset. Fears about, what you even tell yourself about money, whether you understand it or whether you handle it, you don't handle it, that sort of thing. In episode 35, I had a guest, Joan Sotkin, on. And in that episode, she talked quite a bit about helping people that she works with regarding healing from money shame. And then in episode 36, I talked about some of the resources that I have used over the years, the people that I followed, and really challenging kind of your upper earnings money mindset. And some of you may know, if you've been listening to me for a while, I have a background in accounting. That was like my many lives ago that I used to be an accountant. And I also have created a course just last year. 2019. I don't know. It feels like it's been years ago. But I created a course specifically for psychotherapists called The Practical Profit for Psychotherapists, which if you go out in the show notes for today's episode, I'll put a link out there so you can go out there if you are a psychotherapist and you are a DIYer because you like to do your money yourself, but you're just wanting some understanding of how to get some cash flow going and how to really kind of start saving for retirement, things like that. And no, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give you specifics on how to do your retirement or the type of accounts that you want, anything like that. But what I can tell you is, money is only a tool. It is not inherently good or inherently bad. It is not some sort of evil thing. To me, I really look at money as if it's like, you're using, eating utensils to eat food versus using your fingers. It's if you've got a nail that you want to put into a board, you're going to need the tool, a hammer, so that you can put that in there. Well, it's the same thing for money. If you want to own a car, if you want to own a home, if you want to pay for your health care, if you want to go on vacations, if you want to have retirement, the money is a tool to help you get those dreams realized or those goals realized. And here, all the things that I've read about here in the US, all the things that I've read over the years and more, I guess, over these last few years, they talk about, retirement goals for folks in the United States is you need about $1 million in your account. I know there's a huge percentage they say that do not. So some of the numbers I have seen from different financial magazines, financial experts, is the average saved in a person's or those that are in their 50s is around $160,000. That's when you're in your 50s, and it's less when you're younger than that, and not much more when you're in your 60s. And so think about when you want to retire and what that means. And then the other thing that I'm hearing by these same magazines and money experts, things like that, is here in the US, you need to have about $300,000 saved just for healthcare cost. And that means hospital bills, if you need any extra care, nursing homes, things like that, because here in the US, none of that is going to be covered for you. So the reason why I'm bringing all this to, I'm not in it for the money. The reality is, if you have a business, you need to be able to earn enough that you are able to put money back for retirement, for taxes, for healthcare cost, for vacations. It's not, you don't want your financials in the red all the time. That's not actually a business. That's a sinking hobby that you may have. So it's being able to step into, I've done all this education, I've done all this training, and I'm going to increase my fees, or I'm going to package it in ways that help me free up some time. It's the other thing I know with women that I work with, they've been charging the same thing for years, and then they don't keep up with inflation. And in all my contracts, whether it's in my clinical practice or my coaching business, they have things written in there. Like if you're going to renew, those fees can change. Or if you're a clinical client for a long time, I have it written in my informed consent that there's a specific time frame that I use that I may increase the fees, and then they are notified of that. Because we know we have inflation rates all the time. They typically say the inflation rate is about 4%. So if you're not increasing your fees, then you're not going to be able to even keep up with that. Part of it is when we are in that mindset that I'm not in this for the money versus, I love what I do and I love making money. There's a whole different vibration level that is going on. And what I mean by that phrase, I'm not in this for the money, from my perspective, it is a very fear-based statement. And it's as if, from my perspective, like, ooh, don't look at me like I'm greedy. I don't want you to think that I'm just totally out for all of this. That's why I do what I do. Remember, you went down this path. Whatever your business is, whoever you're working for, it must mean something to you. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be doing it. If I didn't like what I did, meaning it's so fun when I have, the clients who come in and they are so motivated and they're going after their work that I get to tune more into my intuition and I get to see kind of what's underneath what they're saying. And then I can reflect that back and they're like, oh my gosh, how did you know? Right? And they get to have all these great aha moments and epiphanies when we're working together. That to me is truly fun. So, I keep fine tuning this by the work that I do. So if I'm not worried about covering all my expenses, both my personal and my business, then I am truly at a higher vibration level, which means I'm really open to receive more goodness that's coming my way. And I'm open to receive that are clients that are ready to work with me. If I'm in that fear-based mode, if I'm more in that constriction mode, I have a harder time really being with my clients and helping them, right, with their mindset, their belief systems when it comes to money. The other thing is, if I'm not at a higher vibration level, meaning if I don't have that belief that I can earn this or that I can actually both love my work and love making money, then I'm going to repel people from my business. So I really want you to get curious today and explore, what does that do if you resonate with that thought, I'm not in it for the money. I really want you to get curious. Like, wow, where did some of my money belief systems come from? So go grab your journal, get curious. I always like to say, yep, this is going to be the soul work. This is the inner work. What were you taught about money growing up? What do I think about people who are wealthy? How would your life be different if you had money set aside for your personal life and then you had cash flow in your business? What's the biggest fear stopping you from doing what you need or want to do regarding improving your financial wealth? What are those things that get in the way? So I know I've talked so many over the episodes. I think episode 17, there's the limited beliefs, where they come from, things that are getting in your way. Of course, you've got the series on perfectionism. There's a episode on tapping, and I think that's in episode 17 as well. But do whatever you need to do so you can start to gain an understanding of where these things are coming from and starting to bust them up. Like, you've evolved enough where you're like, yep, I'm not there anymore. I now believe I love what I do and I can earn a good living. Because the thing is, when you make money and you're no longer in that constricted space, that fear-based space, you actually have the ability, you'll free up some time, because you're not hustling all the time trying to get things done or, get yourself out there type of thing. There's going to be more ease. The other thing is, you literally can make an even bigger impact in the world. You just have more money flowing to you. So that means you can totally give back to charities. You can maybe even open up your own nonprofit. There's just so many things you can do, because it's like, oh, I've got all my other buckets filled up. And so now this abundance that I now have, I can give back in other ways that also then just helps the world become even a better place because I'm able to do this. Oh, I would love to hear any thoughts that you may come up with or old beliefs that you are starting to say, yep, it's no longer mine. Remember, with this work too, there's a lot of self-compassion that can happen, or that you need to do with yourself as well. Doing a lot of forgiveness of, people who may have taught you some old ways that were more constrictive ways, fearful ways, and then forgiving yourself for even having some of these thoughts or believing that they were all true. It's all good. If you're on my email list, though, truly feel free to share with me what was something that may have stood out from you today, from this episode today, and what you're going to do differently going forward. I love to hear from my listeners, so feel free to reach out. Just go out to the show notes. You're going to see how you can sign up for my email list and all that good stuff out there as well. And there's things that I share in my email list that I don't actually share all the time in my podcast episodes. So love to have you on there. Until then, may you all be safe. May you be well. And may you love what you do and love making money. All right, ladies, until the next time, take care. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, I invite you to go out to iTunes and please leave an honest rating and review. In the podcast world, this really helps other women find the podcast and they can see if it resonates with others out there. So I really appreciate all your support and leaving me a rating.